Hi, and welcome to the first episode of Facilities Unfiltered, the Built Reality, where Nick and I really navigate the space where theory meets real world chaos. Sponsored by AkitaBox. I'm Josh. I'm one of the co-founders here at AkitaBox. Background is all over the place. Started my career in construction management, spent a lot of time building up building information modeling and things like that for the construction architecture industry, and started AkitaBox after really understanding that there was a gap in the industry around facilities data. So really was on the tech side of things. Happy to be joined here by Nick Guedenet. I might get this right by the end of us doing this. Well, probably not. I get all nervous when I read your name in front of people. Well, maybe people will see. It might just be you and I talking to the ether. But joined with Nick, who I'm really excited to have with us here. He comes with over 2 decades of experience. And Nick, I'll let you introduce yourself a little bit more.
Yeah. Not such an interesting background as yourself and diverse. I've been in facilities pretty much my entire adult life, over 20 years. Started off as day porter maintenance. Sometimes those can be one and the same, but we were cleaning toilets and turning wrenches. Kind of went through the progressions, facility manager, facility director, ended up at a firm, and we were running a fairly large portfolio on the West Coast of facilities, and now I'm here working for AkitaBox, but kind of jumping in on a little bit of my transition in how it relates to what we're going to talk about, right?
Yeah.
There's this blue sky, these theories, these use cases we read or we go to conferences, and it sounds great, and you go, "Oh, I want to do that." Right. But as I learned 15 years ago, after coming back from my first conference, reality does not meet theory sometimes, especially in facilities management, when you get back and you realize, I don't have time to do any of this. So what we kind of want to talk about during these segments, and we'll try not to veer too off the road, but we will, is let's talk about the theories, but let's also acknowledge the realities, and try to give some useful steps, knowing that it's not going to happen overnight, but how this can be achievable progressively in time, right? And so we want to try to give you some reality takeaways while also making fun about our realities. And that starts off with facilities lifecycle. For all of us that have been in the industry for a while, we're well versed in this. If you're not and you're new to the industry, welcome. We're happy to have you. This starts off on construction, design, right? And then I did that backwards, design, construction, but hey, same thing.
Yeah, whatever.
Then we move into the bread and butter, operations and maintenance, and of course, repair, replacement, renovation, renewal, etc.
To be fair, Nick, when we're doing construction, sometimes it does feel like we're constructing and designing while we construct. But, hey, to each their own. But there is definitely a blue sky way to do that, which is to design first and then construct. Yeah, great points. And again, the goal of this first one is really to just kind of set the stage. The things that we're going to cover, we'll get guests in here to help us cover these topics as well. But it's not just about the facility, right, Nick? I mean, the facility is the overall thing that we keep going, that we all come in and work and live in and make money out of. But it's about all the assets inside, which most of the time have a different life cycle than the facility itself. And the facility should outlast the individual assets that maintain it and help it stay running and heated and ventilated and all the things that go into it, and lit in some cases, right? And those assets have a journey, and they have a blue sky journey, which I've yet to see in practice consistently, which is, hey, to your point, Nick, first place we start is design and construction. That thing has to get spec'd during design, and it has to get acquired, and it has to get installed during construction. And during that process is when we should, in theory, have the most and best information about that asset. But why 10 years later, when somebody calls you, Nick, do you have no idea what was installed, where its O&M manual is, what its serial number is, right? I mean, you probably in a drawer in a binder sitting in the boiler room somewhere, right? But that's, I think, the story that we want to talk about, which is where does it fall apart, right? Like, where does having all of that information in our hands at construction, and is it bad turnover? Is it bad systems? Is it everybody's overwhelmed? Is it all of the above, right? And I think digging into those things is what we really want to talk about here. And the idea, right, that we are going to end up operating this thing and we're going to end up planning for its replacement, and it's going to become part of a capital plan. And all of these things are individual topics that we could spend hours on, debating and having conversations of best practices. But, you know, I don't want to belabor this in the first one as we're setting the stage, but I mean, is it your experience, Nick, that that stuff happens? Do we let that data live, or do we just lose it?
No, I mean, it's been very difficult in the past. I think where we are today with the technology advancements, it's getting easier. And that's where I think this podcast is very fitting, right? 20 plus years ago when I started, it was a lot more difficult. And a lot of us start our jobs. And to your point, if you don't have data, how do you manage what you don't know you have?
Right.
And it's a big mountain to try to climb to go get that in the middle of daily operations. But we talk to people all the time. And I've been one of those people. I have data, sure as hell don't believe in it. Maybe 50% of it's accurate, 40% at best, right? But these are the real challenges, and I think there are solutions out there, and we've seen enough people be successful that we can talk about how this can work, because we are seeing the industry change. And that's the most exciting thing in facility management and assessment firms, is we are seeing a recognition of the value of this industry, not just an overhead cost that hemorrhages money. We do hemorrhage money, but it's starting to be acknowledged as a mission critical hemorrhaging of money,
Right.
which is exciting.
Great points. I'm really excited to dig into all these topics in the future conversations. I hope everybody that joined us for this will join us for the next ones. And that being said, hope you stick with us and join us as we try to explore these topics. And as Nick said, try not to veer too far off course. However, there's definitely detours to be had. And with that, we want to leave you with the thoughts of stop fighting fires and start managing the heat. Thanks for joining.